Hello,
Hello,
hello.
everybody out there. Yeah, working it, getting it done, trying it again for our second time. Mitch, here we are, brother.
We survived the first one. I'm just happy we're here for another one. We must have either we sucked so bad they wanted to laugh at us to do it again, or it was happy. Oh, we'll give it a try. I'll give it another 2 or 3 opportunities to see if if they can prove their.
I just
We've got
think people
some
have
heavy
sympathy.
shoes here. Shoes to fill. Expectations to
You're
fill.
darn
If we
right
don't
we
do
do.
it, this podcast might go away. It might serve everybody a purpose. I don't know. We'll see. What we got
That's right.
today?
That's right. Now, keep in mind well, hold on. Keep in mind, we've got a lot of stuff. We might even have a little bit of delay. Remember, if you remember, everybody, we're dealing with technology because this is not something that normal people do. Just a bunch of idiots like me and Jason or me and Mitch. I'm Jason. He's Mitch. And, just us audience out here. But no, appreciate it. Work with us. Keep in mind, we want your chats. We're going to bring your chats. We want to hear what you have to say. And we want to be able to, if you have some great stuff to say, we want you to be able to bring it on to the actual podcast or actual, this is a live podcast. So I've just got to get used to that. I'm so used, Mitch, that when we're doing this, that we're always usually recording and there's no one else really listening until later in the day. But today we have got Benz. That's what I call him, Gene. He's going to be coming here talking about a new project. He's not going to talk about the project. He reached out to me. He said, Jason, I don't want to talk about the project yet. He's like, well, let's talk about some other things. And you know how we do it here on AI Live Podcast. He's going to be coming in from 105 to 115, 10 minutes. Then he's back out. Then we're going to be bringing in Margot Giles. How happy are you about that, Mitch?
First off, I wish I was as smart as Miles Merwin. Second of all, I'm extremely excited. Miles, that was a shout out to you. I just think you're the coolest, most smart individual I've ever talked to.
He is. He is.
Anyway, Margot is people that I've ever met. Talk about a female in charge and has purpose and has a vision that she's trying to build out in this industry. Can't wait to have her on so you can hear about what she's got going on, but 2, her personalities to have her on the show as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I tell you what, I mean, she's going to be coming on from about 1:15 to 1:30. And keep in mind, last time we had this, we had some people that actually weren't able to come because they didn't have the right link. So if some of these people just don't show up, we're just going to roll with it, huh? And that's what makes it fun. But I'm willing to bet they are. We tried to learn from what we did last time, Mitch, didn't we?
I already screwed up a couple of the graphics there a second ago, so we're trying to work on it, but.
We're working
That's the
on
fun part about it. Process, smoothing out the process. Who we got on? Do we have tech time today? Who's on tech time?
We do. At 1:30 to 1:35, we have CJ Hudson Pillar. Now, this is the thing. He's coming in for 5 minutes. He's going to tell us about a really, really cool tool that they're using, and then he's going to be back out. So from 1:30 to 1:35, you're going to want to be here for tech time. We're going to try to do that every show about that time so that we can come in with a new piece of technology that you're probably very unfamiliar with out there. And then to close it up, well, first of all, we're going to also talk about the thought of the day. We're going to need your help on that. So after CJ leaves at 1:35, from 1:35 to 1:40, now keep in mind you could subtract. I'm in Eastern time, so that's the reason I'm doing it in these times. So figure in as you are across America. But we're going to discuss the podcast thought of the day, and we need your help on that, right? Of all the conversations we have, what's the thought around it? What's your thought? What's your ideas? And then we're going to roll in with Michael Labor, who's going to be joining us, the founder of Insurance Gig. And there was recently, thank you, Heath. There was recently a merger that is happening between them and Now Search. And he's going to come on for the last 15 minutes from 1:40 to 1:55 before Mitch and I close up and kind of talk about that. And one other thing that we heard back from our loyal listeners who are listening to the recording is that you'd want us to read out the comments. So make sure that we do that. If you're listening and you see a comment and you read it out because you're watching and we don't, yell at us and tell us to do that. Make us better. This is going to be awesome. So, yeah, Mitch, anything you've got to say? Anything you're saying?
Want to discuss and talk about how about a little save the date action coming up very, very soon is going to be the one, the only second annual tech showcase experience 2025. back in the heartland of Indianapolis. I'm excited about that. That's September 24th through the 26th. We can briefly talk about this now, Jason, if you'd like. I mean, anybody that is considering or wanting to potentially be a speaker, if you got an idea or you say, hey, I think this we're doing something really cool in our agency using these pieces of technology, I think it'd be great to come express and share that and teach a demo or teach a path at the IndyTech Showcase this upcoming 2024 September of 2024. You can do so. You'll be able to do that by going to aiindytech.com / is that a forward slash? I don't even know. / speakers 24, aiindytech / speakers 24. And I'll try that. I think I can even share this here as well. Look at that. Technology is working. Hopefully. Want to be a speaker? There's going to be a form. It should pop up here in a second. Says sharing the tab, but I don't think it's sharing. Look,
yeah, it's doing a weird thing.
There we are. Right there. Want to be a speaker? Head to the website, fill that out. In about 500 words or less, explain to us what you would like to speak about, what would you like to share, and how you think it'll benefit the independent agent channel. And Jason or I will reach out and we'll have a discussion. So that is that. If you're interested, let us know.
Yep, and it's happening on September 24th through the 26th in Indianapolis, Indiana. We're going back there because we had things going so good. But let's hop on real quick. I appreciate you bringing that up. There's our man right there, Vince Jean.
He's in the bus.
He's
in the bus, man.
He's in it. He's in it. He's in it. Yeah. Can you hear us, man?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. All right. So this is the one and only. What do we call this thing? Where are we at right now, Benz?
Man, we inside the mobile office. It's an office.
And it just drives around. I mean, tell us a little bit about it. Can you show us a little bit of the inside for a minute?
I could do that. So I have so this is let me see. I'm gonna take my phone. Hold on a second.
Wow, I like that. I see that you got the screen up there.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me put this down.
Sorry, I know you weren't expecting to do this.
So,
oh yeah.
So this is the inside of it.
Okay.
So there's the TV that we have a table where we put the laptop, the coffee, the printer and everything. And here, this is my lighting. I brought in there.
Okay.
All this is the couch. Like we have 2 couch, and we have a small table in there. A small table. Basically, I didn't come up with the idea. My wife actually, she was the one that came up with the idea of having the mobile office. It was a crazy idea. It's never done before in our industry, and we just we're not selling insurance. We are selling experience. So it's an experience for
there you go.
It's for experience for business owner, taking them from their conference room to the mobile office, a safe place where we could talk. We could do the transaction in here, and also too, I shoot my podcast. Because I have a podcast, I shoot my podcast in here, so it's a win-win situation for both sides. But it's an experience, man. It's an experience that we want the business owner to have. We're not driving to people's houses. We mainly going to business owner who fit or who's on our niche. And if they fall away, if they're like an hour, 2 hour where they can't come to us, we're gonna have them having the experience, a different experience.
Right. And I mean, I guarantee you no person ever has ever gotten into a vehicle and discussed insurance coverages and whatever. So you're providing an experience no one's ever had before. So that's really cool, man.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing, man.
Hey, how many miles a gallon the thing get?
Ooh, it's diesel.
It's diesel.
It's diesel. So
about 10, 9, 12. I mean,
on top of I just put gas on it this morning, but I didn't even look at that. To be honest, I didn't even think of that.
So do you guys have a office, or is this just your only office?
No, we have a brick and mortar. We have a brick and
That's
mortar.
what I thought. That's what I thought. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a brick and mortar. And it's actually it's parked at my because we're in the office parking lot, so it's parked outside. I'm gonna show you because a lot of people. So this is the outside of it.
Nice.
So this is one side.
Wow. Love it.
So if I was like, hey, let's just say I owned a business and I was like, hey, we want to do life insurance is a big thing for people, right? What if I want to do a big group life insurance policy? And I could take that mobile office right inside and we could do registrations right out the door.
We could do that. It depends. We could do that. But that's not all. Like our main.
That's not your thing.
Yeah, it's not our. I mean, it's not our thing. It's not where we focus more. But we do. We also do workshop. My wife just did a workshop in Virginia for 7 business owners. So 7 business owner was in here, and she did a workshop for them. No,
I love that.
Wow. That is awesome. And then I imagine you can use it on the weekends for charity events. I know you guys like giving it back to the community. You do barbecues, you do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. We use it like last time in August, we had almost 500 book bags in here where we was giving out to the community inside the mobile office. So we pack everything inside the mobile office. So we use it for our community even also too.
Kudos.
Right. And Benz, let me ask you this. Yeah, and kudos, I agree. And Benz, let me ask you this. We understand that you're always trying to give back. You're trying to provide an experience. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of business owners that may want to know this question. And being truthful, did you see an uptick in business? Have you seen an uptick in your brand by utilizing this mobile office?
Yes, big time. Big time, man. Big time.
Sweet.
Yeah, this help a lot. It's a billboard brand. Like it's a billboard, man. Like it. When we launch it in April. I could tell you, we got a lot of attraction, a lot of business from just having this. No, so it's been a blessing, and I could say that it's been a blessing. It's been in the work for almost 2 years. But when we launch it, it's been, we could see there's a change in our business. No.
Well, and two, you know what else you're doing? And one of my favorite things to say is make a difference. You can make a difference. You've realized the opportunities you've been given, you're blessed, and you're giving it back, right? You're utilizing it for bigger things than just, your pockets, right, Benz? So that giving it back to the community and showing that true care that's why we do what we do. And I commend you for that, and hope you guys continue doing that. Because it's popping a lot of attention, and I see or independent agency channel. I'm seeing you everywhere. So kudos.
And before we get off here and we go over with Margot, I want to say, Benz, I know you told me we can't talk about it, but we can say that you're working on a project. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so we can say that, But so,
man, it's working on something for 2024, man. It's exciting. It's never done before. I mean, it's gonna be nice, man. It's gonna be nice. People that's in our industry, people that's outside of our industry, gonna love this, man. This project, it's I can't give too much information. It's just that it's never done before, and we'll see, man. When we get it done, I'm gonna come in the podcast again and just lay everything out, man.
We will. I know what he has planned, and it's pretty damn cool. And you are right; it's never been done before. It took me a minute to kind of wrap my head around exactly what it is, but it's awesome and great. Benz, appreciate you in that mobile office. Keep providing that experience out there, man. You're making us independent insurance agents look good, dude. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Hey, appreciate you both, man. Thank you.
See you, man.
Wow, what a dude, man. What a dude.
That's good stuff. I love people that are just changing and looking at things differently. And lo and behold, the one and only Margot. Tell me about somebody who looks at business and our industry differently, right? Boom, boom, boom. Good to have you, Margot.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think with the once or twice we've talked on the phone, I think we got in trouble by our staff because we were on the phone for like an hour or two. I can't
Way
remember,
too
but it
long.
was long and it was like just a big old geek fest, right? And so that's why I wanted to bring this on here. So, Margot, how are you doing?
Really well, honestly. You know, I knew that when we started Iris, which is our second company, right? Because first and foremost, I'm an insurance agency owner, but went out on my own and basically created a brand new AMS. Like I knew it was gonna be controversial a little bit. I knew it was gonna be an uphill battle, right? Like this is we got some legacy players here that's gonna be really difficult to usurp. But I don't know if I expected just how passionate I'll say passionate that everybody is about this topic of insurance agency management systems, which is insane, but it's very true.
It is, girl. You know it. I mean, it's something that I don't think we'll ever be 100% satisfied because
No.
everybody's different and everybody uses their own. But Margot, this is a ginormous task. And so, what in the hell made you finally say, I'm going to create my own? And what you've done. I mean, and then tell us about where you are now, because I think you went out, you've got some investors. Tell us.
Yeah, and we're gonna have another round going right now. It's getting ready to close that we're gonna announce. But yeah, so for me it was I don't want to say it was born of just like anger because that sounds bad, but what it was for me was I felt like
Frustration.
It was frustrated. I felt like our business, like my data, what in insurance, like we don't have commodity, like we don't sell t-shirts or warehouse, pharmaceuticals. Like we sell basically relationships. That's how I feel about insurance. And so much of that was wrapped up in my data. Like that was our, who did we sell something to? How much did it cost? What did we sell them? Like that is my business. And when we couldn't access our data, I think that was for me the biggest reason why and motivation was this whole idea that we were putting a bunch of data into a system we couldn't get it out. So for me, that was the catalyst. How can I convince my agents and my CSRs and everybody in the organization to put data into something that they weren't either one going to be able to get out to use anywhere else, or two, didn't give them a reason to. And I feel like I ran into this with my sales reps more so than the CSRs, which was this fight of them not wanting to put data into our platform. And therefore, we as management not being able to see what we needed to see about our book. And so their biggest gripe to me was, well, why would I put this? It's basically just a task register for them, right? Like they check it off. They put as little information into the system as they can without getting fired. And it's not helpful to them. And so that feedback, I took it really serious about like this idea that your business is your data. And one, nobody wants to do their job and put the data in because there's no reason for them to. They're not getting any benefit from it. And then two, once they do put it in, what do we do with it? It's black box. So for us, it was all about, which I love to call it, data is the new oil, right? Like this is your company, this is your business. And you should own that. That's yours. And so for us, that was the catalyst, I think.
Then obviously yours has been built on that.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Free, you own your own data kind of. It was very, it was funny because we met with the lawyers. We were building like the MSAs, and they do like a standard MSA, and it's like, anybody that uses your system and blah, blah. And we redlined it, and I was like, I want them to own their data. And they looked at me like I was insane. And they're like, well, how are we going to do that? I was like, I don't know, but let's figure out a way legally where they can put data into our system. We can still perform the functions of the system, but we don't own their data and we don't resell it to anyone. And so it was definitely one of those moments. I was like, maybe we are doing something that no one's done before. You should check.
You are.
You know what I find fun or find cool about it, and I know I saw it like early stages, and I haven't seen it since, to be honest with you. Was how easy it was and simple that we always get told your growth is in this current book of business that you have, and people are so bad about utilizing that data. And what you guys have done with that, being able to visualize in an agency or as a producer standpoint inside the agency and visualize my opportunities that are without having to dive in and try to find where those opportunities are at.
Because that's how we grew our agency. Like our agency wasn't grown in the AMS. Like the agency was grown by people that made relationships, and we were, PNC commercial. So for some context for listeners, we grew it by going to like referral sources and just being really good at that relationship and then getting more and more and more. And sort of, I like to think about it as growing from the inside out. We didn't do a lot of paid advertisements or lead list purchasing or like marketing, to that extent, but we grew multi-million-dollar business from just being really good at relationships. And I felt like that was one of the things that we missed. Within even our standard CRMs, I've used a ton of them. I still am missing that piece, Mitch, that you're talking about, which is like, tell me who my center of influence is. Yep. Just because they have a small homeowner's policy with me, they might have referred me $100 million in premium. And we were missing that piece of understanding who was critical.
Yep. Let alone telling them thank you, right?
Or sitting and
refer it over. Thank you. I mean,
yeah.
And see, here's the thing that like listening to this today, loyal listeners, you hear this and you think, yeah, so what? I could do this and that with my data. It's going to get so competitive, right? Because people are going to niche out so good and be so good at what they are. That will be your edge in business, is knowing those little things that help you figure out who gave you a bunch, or what's, like you said, the whole center's influence. Or your centers of influence, and what is the sales process from the beginning to the end? Can I see that, universally and use that data? One of the things that you said here, I thought this was great. I don't want to go on too long because we don't have a long time, but I remember Seth Zaremba said something. He says, Jason, what people don't understand, he picked up a pencil and he said, data is like this pencil. He said, if I give you this pencil and you use it to write down, he said, then give me back the pencil. Right. And then I give this pencil over to this guy and maybe he needs it to scratch his neck. And when he's done, give me back the pencil. Right. That's how data is. You use it for the function. It's exactly what you said. Perform the function that we need with the data. And then that's what you said that you wanted to your people. Allow them to put it in there so we can perform the function, but it's theirs. Right. It's the pencil. It's theirs. They should have it back if they want to have it back. Absolutely. That made a lot of sense to me when Seth said that, and I think that's the path you're following.
Well, I think people, we talk a lot about like data, and if you've watched me at all on LinkedIn, that's all I talk about, but Seth is another huge proponent of that. Mm-hmm. I don't think if you take a step back and think, okay, we have carriers, right? We have reinsurers, and these companies are massive and they have massive amounts of data. Okay. Huge amounts, inconceivable amounts of data. Now, whether or not it's good or not, we can debate about that, but they have access to it. Agents, we're their entire sales organization of another company. If you think about what we would have access to, one, if we were able to sort of pool our data, but just in general, understanding that if an agency of any size has 14 carriers and I am collecting the data on how fast they're responding to submissions, how good they are at claims, how all of the things, right? I am the one now holding all of the keys because I'm not just getting data on my one company. I'm able to aggregate data across all these companies. And I think agents don't realize how insanely valuable that is to them as businesses. Think about what Hartford or somebody or Travelers would pay to Google for that kind of data. And then you've got agents here that are just collecting it constantly. And then they're not able to utilize it for anything, which is bizarre. So that was a big thing for us.
Margo, you just said something that just rocked my mind. Seriously, loyal listeners, I'm serious. I don't know if you heard what she said. Okay, maybe this is what you said, but this is what I heard. So if an organization has a huge amount of data, right, and let's say they have their own sales team, right, they utilize that data with their sales team to help optimize them.
Correct. Yeah.
But yet with insurance companies, we are their sales team.
We are the
sales team, yes, but they're not allowing us to necessarily utilize and function the data that they have like they would if we were all Travelers reps, right? Yep. I've never have thought about that. You're giving it if we were internally, but you're not now, but we're still the same people. We're just not your W-2 or 1099 employee.
Right. We're just not their soul. But if you think about it, when we went back and really thought about how insurance should work and how it works now, where we actually are limited by tech, think about that. Like, what other structure has a distribution, structure like insurance? It's very unique, right? In terms of how we actually distribute insurance and how it works in the US market in particular. And, the technology still doesn't reflect that because we are separate entities, but we're not really separate entities. We're really an extension. We're an extension of their team.
I have never thought about that. I have never thought about it in that terms. Man, I'm getting ready to get on a high horse on that son of a bitch. I'm telling you what. I mean, well, it does. It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
If you want me to sell your product, give me the data you have, right? And I know that I've been always trying to give them to get me their data, but I never really had like, what is their motivation? Well, they have all the motivation in the world because it will only help.
Let me ask you this question. So would that answer the question of, from each year, what's the best present that Santa could bring into our industry this Christmas?
Yes, from each row.
Third-party data into your AMS. Yes.
yes.
I mean, it's something to do that.
No, and it is. No, it is. It's something we've all been asking for a long time. And I think that here's the deal. I believe companies like Gaia, with artificial intelligence, they're going to eliminate a lot of that. Yeah. I mean, if there was a way that I can actually, other than just scraping the data, right?
Yeah,
a way that I can
still do it when you do.
Yeah, and you can do, but to get it into a large LLM and make sense of it and be able to do it, it's not going to be very long before we're going to be like, but we need that data. It's going to be like, no, we already have that data.
So imagine what we just demoed at ITC which is InsurTech Connect, which is the big InsurTech conference in Vegas, was the ability for Iris, which is a generative AI, it's an LLM that we have, to look at anonymized data cross-tenant, meaning like if we have 5,000 agencies on Iris and we're constantly training that LLM across all segments of the US, even maybe different markets, like inherently that LLM becomes the most powerful insurance AI. And it's not something we have to build separate. It's not something like it's embedded in the operating system, which is where the data is, which is where it should be. Right. And then imagine not being able, like just waking up and being able to ask, your AI assistant, anything about your book, anything. Where are we going to sell the most policies in the next 5 years? I mean, that's a question that an AI can answer if the data is available to be trained on it. And that is the kind of stuff where you're like, that's where you get into sci-fi, right? Like we're like, oh, AI is going to change the world. It really is. But when you have something like that can be aggregated across many agencies' data, right? Like that is crazy powerful.
I agree. I agree emphatically, Margot. I really, truly do. AI it's one of those things that we know is powerful, but in 20 years, we're going to go, mother, holy God. I mean, it has to do with the way I use Superhuman for my emails, but regardless, it all has AI built into it now, and it summarizes my emails and writes my emails. I showed Mitch the other day, I had this long chain of emails, and I said, I don't even know what it is, right? But I just went to the next one, and I said, reply. And then I typed reply, enter. And the AI wrote out the email. And then Mitch and I went and read through the emails. We're like, holy shit, that's
it even based off of his calendar.
Oh, that's
okay, I'm busy for the next 2-3 hours. I shit you not. I'm mind blown because I couldn't even sleep last night.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Imagine that.
It is.
You're telling me that it's reading my calendar, reading all these emails and saying, okay, I'm busy for the next 4 hours, and replying, let me check back with you when I hear a decision on this, which would be about 4 hours from now. I was like, what the? Wow.
It was pretty crazy. It's pretty wild.
It was super
really
cool.
wild.
Super cool.
So imagine if you were a smaller agency, or you're an agency like mid-size that's doing a lot of merger and acquisition, right? And you're trying to aggregate your books, which is not uncommon right now. It's a big process that's happening. And imagine that you're down the street, like you have this little AI, right? Or you have this additional sort of army, if you will, of bots, and that you could kind of point that in any direction. So now you're maybe an agency of 25 people, but you're competing directly against your Marshes and your Aon because you have this tool and you can utilize it in a much more agile way, by the way.
Margot, it is 1:30.
Yep.
We must stay to our time. I greatly appreciate you and everything. And thank you for helping us work on Indie Tech like you are.
Yeah.
She's working on getting some big time speakers for us. Margot, thank you very much for everything
Thank
you're
you,
doing for the
guys.
industry.
Yes, thank
Talk
you.
soon.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
one.
Wow.
Wow, what a
I
fantastic
meant to
smart
ask her
individual.
if she gets tired, you know.
Yeah,
I'm
and I don't
tired.
know, and these sessions are so good with so many great people. I'm just gonna have to shut up. Let's get right on to the next one. Here we go with Tech Time. We got CJ Hudson Pillar. This is our man right here.
What's
CJ,
up,
we
man?
don't get you well, not very long. I told him what this is all about. Everybody knows that right now you're leading our industry in AI. Tell us what you want to tell us. You got 5 minutes for Tech Time.
Oh man, so I always like to go with like actual use cases and things that you can use AI for in your agency today. I'm also cheap, so I like to talk about the free things or the very
I love it.
inexpensive things. So I think somewhere that a lot of agencies have a tool in front of them that they can use AI for that they're not necessarily utilizing yet is the custom GPTs that OpenAI just rolled out. Jason, have you played with those yet?
I have actually played with them.
Okay, cool. So essentially, what the custom GPTs allow you to do is to use ChatGPT, but upload your own data to it that it's going to reference while it's having its conversation with you. And so what we did in our agency, and I think this is something that a lot of agents, especially with the market doing what it's doing now, is we took all of our underwriting guidelines and uploaded all of them with all of our carriers to our custom GPT and essentially made a personal lines underwriter. And so rather than us having to figure out, okay, which carriers have markets for these things now on the personal line side, we could just ask our ChatGPT and it will reference all the documents. We gave it the documents and the carriers and the policy forms. And we can ask it questions against the policy forms or the underwriting docs to get answers to our questions instantly without having to spend 45 minutes on hold waiting for an underwriter or doing anything along those lines.
Now, this is the one here, CJ, that we've tried to create. I don't want to really talk about it much right here because I want to stay focused on you. We tried to create one for Tia. I actually have to go on the other side, onto the developer side to actually, I think, create the thing that you're talking about.
Yeah, we got to drag all those underwriting stuff.
Yeah, and I got to do all that. But this is amazing, right? This is the thing, CJ, that everybody's always said, like, hey, who writes Rottweilers, right? That's the thing we always screamed out.
Yeah, exactly.
And now it's right here, I mean, that's so fantastic. And so are you guys using that in your office right now?
Yeah, absolutely. The only downside to it, I think at this point, and I think this is something that's got to evolve, is you do have to have, the ChatGPT Plus account in order to access it. But it's my understanding that, they're working on building out a marketplace to where essentially you can make these almost customer facing. The other cool thing with GPTs is they have the ability to run code in the background. So you can actually have it access different things. Like theoretically, you could build a client facing life insurance agent that could reference all of your life insurance documentation and quote against an API all within that one experience within those custom.
Wow. I see exactly what you're talking about there. Yeah. Holy cow. That's amazing. And what are a few other things that you have not that specifically, but you're using ChatGPT OpenAI to do some other service tasks?
Yeah. So we do a lot with it. I try to switch it up. I talk about AI a lot. I think the biggest, I always go to what are the biggest things that are impacting the agency. Still massive, having AI listen to our phone calls and generate summaries that go into the notes within our systems. That's a huge one from an E&O perspective, from client experience perspective, everything there. We also use it for reconciling our accounting, doing producer commissions, down to, you can actually upload data to it, ask it questions against data. I think Margot, who was on here before me, was kind of referencing that, there are a lot of AMSs starting to kind of build that into it as well. So a lot of things like that.
Fantastic. Last, CJ, because I know people always want to know this stuff. They think, oh, he's all Mr. Computer Tech guy. He probably has a tech stack that I don't know about. Tell him your tech stack. What's your AMS?
AMS, QQ Catalyst. We got Agency Zoom as our CRM. We use Donna as our analytics program, which, by the way, if you have Donna, you got to ask them to turn on the Ask Donna beta feature, which is essentially allows you to have access to your data in a ChatGPT style format. Super, super cool.
Wow, I can see that. Wow.
My tech stack's pretty lengthy, but those are like our core products.
That's your core. Well, that's what I want people to see, because when they think of this, they think that you're on a Salesforce or something. They don't realize you're on a QQ, right? They don't understand. Now, and I'm not saying that ChatGPT and OpenAI work with all that, but sometimes we think it's bigger than what it is, CJ. So I appreciate you making that very simple for us there. And then CJ, if there's, don't you have like an AI little class out that people can learn more about AI?
Yeah, it's called agentaitraining.com, and they can go on there. We've got a roughly 30 pre-built things that you can use AI for in your agency, and it's not all one system, so it's kind of agnostic to if you're captive or independent, or if you're just selling health insurance, whatever. It can work for all those.
Hey CJ, is this the URL down there? If not, someone's got some free advertising.
That's the one.
There it is.
Hey, CJ, appreciate you very much. Thanks for your 5 minutes, brother.
Yeah, man. Y'all have a good one.
Fantastic.
Thanks. Wow. Well, I just got
So when we think of the thought
on this site, I'm like, have you been on this training thing?
Yeah.
Oh, this thing's nailed.
I have, actually. It was a while back, but I was on it. Yeah. So
This is sweet.
It was
great branding. Great branding.
Yeah.
Kudos to CJ Hudson.
Like, I mean, just God, I would, it's Zig Ziglar said that if you take a frog and you put it in boiling water, it will jump right out. But if you took a frog and you put it in lukewarm water and you slowly turn up the heat, it will cook itself to death. Now, that's how I feel right now. I think if we could logistically take or logically, literally is the word I'm looking for, if we could literally take ourselves out of 2005 and drop us in 2023, I mean, that would be the only way we would live, because we would jump out. But if we really want to be just like every other agency in this industry and sit there and not realize that the heat is being turned up for the next 2 minutes, the thought of the podcast to me is shit's changing, and it's changing so fast, it's transforming. And I think that's a point. What do you think about that, Mitch?
It's kind of funny. Earlier today, actually this morning around 11 o'clock, I was on a webinar that I hosted with more, and I was talking about just kind of market updates and kind of where the trends are going. And I told them at the end, after I gave them my dog and pony show, that, hey, here's what sets me apart from competition, right? And it's the fact of using technology to embed myself inside of your guys' process, make it simple for you guys. So the quicker you get that done and that certificate or that hits your guys' the processor's desk, and you guys are ready to close, maybe even 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 weeks earlier than what you plan to close. That's the reason why I do what I do. And you guys, and I was referring to the mortgage and real estate people, that you need to learn to pivot as well. Pivot's the word. I think that's my word for the year. I mean, that
you
is
like that word. You like that word. You've been using that around the office a lot.
Because it's not a 360 change. And I think that's what people get discouraged by, is like, oh, tech, run. No, it needs to be tech, ears perk up, just listen and see if it can benefit. If so, try it, have a conversation, but you got to pivot. So you are 100% correct.
Well said.
That if you're not pivoting, you're going to get smushed. You will. You will. It's only a matter of time.
Truly are.
What's next for us, Cass?
Let's rock and roll. We got this man named, we got 1 minute until we bring him on, but we got this guy named Michael Labor, okay? Now, I'm going to beat him up when he gets on. So I won't do it right now. And when I say that, loyal listeners, I'm not beating anybody up. I actually kind of like this guy. But I tell you what, when I met him the first time, and he's probably listening to this right now. So, I mean, I met him first time. I said, bro, how does someone like me, and I'm not saying I'm big and bad, right? Neither is Mitch saying that, but like, we're kind of in the industry, right? We kind of know what's going on. And like, if someone came up to me and said, Cass, I'm gonna give you $1 million, you tell me what insurance gig did. Up until about a week or two ago, I had no clue. I mean, I missed out on $1 million. Really, I'd have been pissed at this guy. If someone would have offered me $1 million and then I didn't know, I would have went and found this guy and said, bro, why in the hell do I not know who you are? Bring him on here, Mitch. Let's bring in the one and only Mr. Michael Labor. How are you doing, sir? Good to see you out there, Michael.
First off, thanks. Really appreciate it. And, it's funny. Like, I spent my career as the chief marketing officer of a carrier And it took Jason to humble me that maybe I'm not such a good marketer. So there's always something to learn, and there's always ways to improve. But any help that you're giving us to spread the gospel is genuinely appreciated.
Well, and you know what the loyal listeners will find out here as we keep talking, Michael, is I'm only doing it because once I found out what the hell you've done in the world, in our industry, I'm thinking, why in the world do I not know about this? So we're going to get on to the merger. I want to get in and talk about that. But Michael, let's let America know who the hell you are, right? I mean, tell us about what you do. Actually take 2 or 3 minutes and tell us what you do and tell us the things you've built, because loyal listeners, listen, I guarantee you don't know this shit. Go ahead, Michael. Tell them about who you are.
So again, Jay, thank you. And to the audience, I really appreciate the opportunity. So to understand kind of what we are, if you put on like the venture capitalist hat, right? Every time you talk to a VC, the conversation is always framed around, well, what's the problem statement, right? What problem are you solving in the industry? And if we get into insurance, and we all know that every event we go to, everybody likes to kind of crap on the insurance industry and say that we're slow and we're not quick to adapt technology.
Mm-hmm.
And there are certain things that are true, but if you kind of look at it on a case-by-case basis, and I'm sure even just the audience listening, there are certain people that are incredibly technologically sophisticated and advanced, and there are some that are not. But when you think about the industry as a whole, and I typically don't like to generalize, but I think there are a couple of truths that seem to be evident. And Insurance Gig was really solved as a solution. And Jason, part of I know we're joking around, but part of people don't understand what Insurance Gig is. The example that I like to give is if you go back to remember when you had your original Nokia phone, the one that you could play Snake on it. And if I were to come to you and say, Jason, in 18 months, this is going to be your phone. It's not going to be Nokia, and it's going to be this device that connects to the interweb, and you're going to have access to the entire wealth of the world's information, and you're going to have this app store where you could download and in-app purchases. You would look at me like I'm from Mars. You would have zero clue what I'm talking about. But now my grandmother could go download an app and use it in the app store, and it's kind of intuitive and second nature. And basically that's the challenge that Insurance Gig has had to date. So when I talk about the problem statements, and to all the people that are listening, whether you could chat us or react and respond to Jason after, if you think about your daily workflow, right? Think about the AMS. If you go to ask any agency and say, well, what's your core system? They'll say, oh, it's my AMS. And then we would ask them, but do you also have an accounting suite? Many do. Do you have a separate CRM? Many do. Do you have a separate billing module and payment system? Many do. And when you think about it, the average agency has a minimum of 3 to 4 separate core systems that are integral to the day-to-day, but those systems were not designed to talk to each other. So the onus falls on the agent to have to create these custom manual processes and workflows on how to do an export and upload the CSV and create a task. And that's incredibly inefficient. So the first thing that we've done is that we built this kind of connection layer where we're able to normalize data in and out from all these different partners to allow you to connect the different companies that don't talk to each other. Jason,
Michael, let me explain that to them real quick because you're talking like you talk, and I got to talk like an agent. Okay, so hey, we got a bunch of programs, and they don't allow us to get our data out or move our data around. He has actually created an app store that's created, quote unquote, for us dumb people, programs that actually make these things work together. So where you may say, man, I have this product and this product, but they don't talk to each other, there's a good chance Michael has actually made an app store that makes them talk to each other. That's what he's saying. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah. So, Jay, thanks for bringing that up. So think of it this way. Here's an example that everybody seems to like, and you guys will humor me for a minute. But if everybody tries to think about the United Nations, right? You've got 80 people sitting in the same room. No two people speak the same language, but they communicate in real time. And the thing that powers that is the fact that every conversation is translated from the source language to English, and then from English to the destination language. They don't have 80 to the 79th power of language services, right? There's no Cambodian to Senegalese translator on staff. It's Cambodian to English, English to the destination language. And if you think about this United Nations of insurance, you go to a show, you think about any mastermind vendor, and you as an agent want to integrate with them, you need to do a one-to-one integration, because you might call it in your database gross written premium, but the partner might call it GWP. Now we're talking about the exact same thing, but because our data headers are different, integrations become this really burdensome exercise. So what we've done is, when you come to us, either as an agent or come to us as a vendor, I map your headers to my standard. So if you're an agent and you come to me and we're working with your AMS already, we could connect you with the dozens upon dozens of companies we've already integrated with. And basically what we've done is we've made big boy tech available to the average independent agent. Most tech, if you go out and call these vendors, of all the ones that we have listed on our site, they want to charge a lot of money and they want a 1 to 2 year contract. And they usually end up only catering to the really large, the Browns and Browns of the world.
That's
but
right.
Independent agent, you guys have been disenfranchised from the best tech, and we wanted to make it accessible. And the way we did it is just like the App Store, right? You can access Uber. It's really complicated what Uber built, but because it's on the Apple framework, it's become incredibly easy. So we've made all this complicated tech incredibly easy for you, the independent agent, to use through your AMS. We build and power the app stores for AMSs. So Jay,
There you go.
I hope that has become a little bit more clear.
It has, and it hasn't to a bunch of them. That's okay, and they'll admit it. They don't totally get it all the time, and that's all right. There's leaders in this world like you, for as an example, that bring us to this stuff, and this is so cool. I mean, loyal listeners, if you didn't hear it, please hear what he said. Whenever the United Nations is translating so everybody can hear it, they translate from the language the person is speaking to English, then English to the other languages. The point of that is if everybody just builds to that middle piece, English, it all works. I don't know if we understand how genius that is. Now, I will say, I think if we all as an industry got behind and actually started utilizing, I think we already have something like that. We do have Insurance Gig, but we also have Ivans. Ivans has been something that gets the black eye, but at the end of the day, relationships matter in this industry, because you can have all the technology you want, but if you don't have relationships like Insurance Gig to help you connect those, you're going to be very, very limited in what you can possibly do. Now, you can see though, Michael, let's talk. For what you just told us, it only makes sense that someone like an AMS, now certs, would listen to you and say, holy shit. So you're going to fix a lot of the problems that, number one, now Search has with connecting with other things, but also that agents have with connecting with other things. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody. Is that where this is going with this merger?
Yeah. So I want to be very careful here, because before we merged, my main business model was catering to and partnering with agency management systems. And then we went and merged with an agency management system. And, we work incredibly closely with Vertafore. We work very closely with Hawksoft. And the first 2 phone calls that I made post-merger was to call the leadership at both of those AMSs and say, guys, you believe in this vision, but we are now going to be kind of quasi-competitors. Are you okay with that? And everybody was incredibly supportive of the vision of Insurance Gig, because we basically took all the things that these AMSs really had no intention of building and said, let us build these workflows and these automations for you. So it really just made sense, because now Search, which has like a really great product and is the core AMS, but we have all these little widgets. Maybe it's getting third-party data. Maybe it's premium financing. Maybe it's commercial lines quoting, Canopy Connect, Broker Buddha, the list goes on and on. These are all tools that we know many agencies are using, right? So let's just assume that there are 100 people on the phone right now, on the webinar right now. 15 of them are using Canopy Connect. Or Jay, I'll give you an example. On our last private call, you mentioned attention.tech to me, right?
That's right.
Amazing tool. I reached out to them, got a demo. I said, this is killer. Integrate with us. And now that will be available to every agent using Insurance Gig.
He just spilled our beans.
Nah, that's fine. No, that's okay. He can still do it.
I'm kidding.
I know, but did you hear him? We need to go get that connection that he has with Insurance Gig. If we can somehow get that in there.
I agree.
But
Hey,
yeah,
there was a question down here. It says, with the
Michael, check this question
maybe
out.
you guys already talked
From
about
Michael
this
Trillion.
relationship.
Go ahead.
Will Insurance Gig still work with all AMSs?
The answer is yes, if they'll have us. Now, interestingly, we use the terminology a delivery mechanism, right? So our tech could be present in the AMS, which is the ideal place to be, because that's where agents don't want to leave the AMS. But we realize that not all AMSs will be able to dedicate engineering and design resources and change their user experience. So we also built this really cool Chrome extension. And Jay, if I could share my screen, I could share it with you and show it to you. But basically, we're agnostic. So as long as we could pull the data out, whether it's from your AMS API, or even if it's some type of like scraper or, RPA, which is not ideal, but we can support it. The answer is yes. We are looking to work with every single AMS. We have some very strong relationships with some of the biggest. And this tool is meant to empower the independent agents, to level the playing field, to give, because if we could build one piece of tech for one agent, chances are 500 agents want that same tech. And if you build it, it's going to have to be built 500 times. Each agent will have to do it. But if we do it, you just have to connect with us once. And if I've got that integration, or if I've got that workflow, it's something that's easily available.
Hey, let him share his screen, Mitch. Hey, I want to let you know, Michael, we have about 3 minutes. Okay, this is in and out. So if you want to share your screen, I think does it allow him to share his screen, Mitch, or no?
Michael, can you share? Can you see the little share arrow up there? Yep,
there you go,
perfect.
buddy.
It should allow you.
Michael, you know how to work technology, don't you?
Yeah. So if you think for a moment, if you're here, let's say just in your AMS, and you click on this little Chrome extension, we've got all these little widgets that have been requested of us by agents. How do I get, NAICS data from Relativity 6? How do I get the portal data from Canopy Connect? How do I get a premium finance quote? So if you do, and your agency does any premium financing, we've got all the largest banks already connected to it, and we can give you quotes for premium financing without having to leave to go to the bank portal.
I know, it's pretty amazing. That's what I was saying, Mitch. When this guy was on the phone with me, I'm like, dude, why doesn't people know about you? So yeah, but it makes sense. To be fair to Michael, loyal listeners, as he said, he has the relationships with the insurance companies. Okay, so that's where he has the relationships. So that's why Jason probably doesn't know. But still, at the end of the day, these insurance companies don't need to know about this shit. We do. We're the ones that are going to use that. Michael, good for you, my friend. That is some good shit. And I'll tell you what, I think now certs actually opened their ears and opened up their mind to be able to see the future of to say that we're not going to have app stores just seems silly, right? Everything's going to an app store.
Trello has their power up. Salesforce has their app exchange. Like Apple became $1 trillion company when they created their app store and said it is open. There is no possible way Applied Epic, however big they are, Vertafore, however big they are, can build every bloody thing that every agent needs. And as long as there's this connection layer, we can connect everyone. I'll leave you with this real example. And this is like a visual.
Okay, Michael.
Apple, and I keep coming back to Apple because it's such a relevant example. There's an app on Apple called Shortcuts. You have to download it. It's not built into the phone. But you could basically create a workflow to say, hey, phone, check the weather in the morning. If it's raining, I want you to order my Uber. When I hit the geo point of the George Washington Bridge, I want you to hit the Starbucks app and order my coffee. And when Uber ends my ride, I want you to SMS my next appointment and tell them I'm on my way up. You can create these workflows of different companies that have never spoken to each other, but because of the common Apple framework, you can build these custom workflows. Think about every agency that's on an AMS. I need to get Canopy Connect data. Now that I have it, I want to rate it. Now that I have the rate, I want to hit the proposal builder. Now I want to hit the COI.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's the agent has to sit and do these and maybe hire some people from Resource Pro or some CSRs to do a lot
Not
of
Resource Pro. We don't use them. We don't use them.
But
Virtual
I'm
intelligence.
joking. I'm joking, Michael. I'm joking. But yes, no. I see what you're saying there. And oh gosh, come on, Jason.
What I was gonna say was it's almost like that extension is almost a valuable asset and help on what the steps are and where you need to go to get to the end point of a quote or a proposal or a binder, right? Like I think being able to see everything in one place, that this is where I need to go, this, and this, and especially for producers that have 327 carriers that they write insurance with, right? Like those people, for me, like I wouldn't be able to, I couldn't do that. I just flat out couldn't. But being able to keep it simple for the producer to say, this is your steps and this is what you use to do that. That's all a producer, in my opinion, would want.
There are two ways to look at it. For those
Michael,
of you
30 seconds. You got to close it up. 30 seconds, buddy.
For those of you who know what Zapier is, we're kind of the equivalent of if Zapier in the App Store had a baby. And we're really just trying to think of us as your kind of innovation lab that you don't have to pay for up front. Any agent that wants to integrate with another piece of tech that currently does not integrate, think of us as the place, because if one agency wants it, chances are many agency wants it, and we will make it available as an app through your AMS.
Michael, what was that? You said
Zapier?
like Zapier and
the App Store.
Had a baby.
Had a
That's pretty
baby.
funny. I like that.
That's right. You know what, Michael? I now see. I mean, you have so much value in what you're doing, man. And Mitch, being the technology guy for TIA, the Insurance Alliance, via our virtual intelligence, agency intelligence. I mean, we now have the access that, Mitch, if we have something that needs to work together and you can't get it to do it, we now know where we can go to say, hey,
absolutely.
Michael, make this shit work together. And I see where you come up with Insurance Gig. I see you are a good marketer, Michael, because it is. It's in this gig economy, right? This is what it is. It's like, hey, you need me from a one-off, hire me, or we've already got it. And I just love it. I love the App Store. People have no idea the power of the App Store. And Michael, you talked about it. There's a word out there that's called consumerization. And no one really have ever heard about the word consumerization until around 08, 09, 2010. I did some studying on this. And what consumerization says, that it says up to about the year around 2000 or right around the app stores, things that were created for us in life were created at the government, then usually was used by business, and then was usually used then by the consumer. Think of the fax machine, think of GPS, think of computers, right? But when the App Store was created, that reversed the roles. Now, a kid that was in the basement of his mom's home could create something on the App Store and sell it that would actually businesses would start using and eventually governments would start using. You see how that went backwards? That's the power of what the App Store did. It created consumerization is what it created.
And think about this, and you'll forgive me, Jay, you know, I mentioned before like attention.tech, but let's just use those for a moment. You've identified a need that here's a company that provides a service. I want to connect it to my agency. Now, let's assume that we did that for you, but it was your idea. Back to this kind of like gig idea. If you're the creator of that and you decide, well, this is worth $1 and I'm going to charge $1 every time it's used, because you're the creator, you're going to benefit from that. So now how do we create an army of, okay, you're in California.
Fuck.
How do we make this tech available to the other agents? But you're going to make money because you connected me to that vendor. You connected me to that superpower. And the rising tide will lift all ships. Like, I understand sometimes agents don't want to collaborate, but I think we could all make each other better by, that guy did Canopy Connect integration. Let's share it with other agents and they'll share their secrets with me.
I love it, dude. I love it. I love it. I love it. Michael Laborde, thank you very much for taking our time, and I appreciate it. You will be back. I appreciate it. Keep leading out there, and if you need me, I'll help connect you with someone, and I won't charge you $1. Thank you very much, Michael, for your connection, man. Hey, Mitch, that was some good shit. You know what I mean?
Dude, this is my closing document. I asked ChatGPT to create me a picture of App Store and Zapier had a baby, and here it is. I have
Are you serious? You did that right now?
I just did it. I have to do it.
What did you ask it? So loyal listeners,
I said, create me a graphic or a picture of what a baby what a baby would look like if App Store and Zapier had a baby.
That's right.
ChatGPT script of the day.
So loyal listeners, if you're listening to the recording, you got to go back to the YouTube version and see it. First of all, if you don't know, if you're not watching these, Mitch, you are doing a fantastic job, I must say. Okay, and guys, this is why I bring Mitch on. You guys just think that like I have nothing to do, and so I want a cool buddy. No, the son of a bitch is talented. Okay. Well, he's a cool buddy too, but he's some bitch is talented. Okay. But Mitch, I love how you bring up all these videos and all this stuff like that. And so loyal listeners, if you're listening to this, you've got to watch one of these live, and you got to at least go watch the recording out there on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, sorry. Did not mean to cuss there. We love CJ over here at V4. What are your thoughts on generative AI affecting the future staffing roles in agencies? That's being asked by Vertifor there over on the YouTube channel. Vertifor, good shout out to you. Big Orange. That's right, baby. You know what? I don't know enough about AGI to really say anything other than I know it's AI that then can actually create its own thoughts and its own ideas. And that scares the living shit right out of me. Can you imagine how we would be? I mean, we as an industry will not create websites where somebody can go and make their own payment because they'll be like, well, what if it wasn't enforced?
That's true.
You know, I mean, we do all of these little bitty things, and maybe at that point in time, that's where a generative AGI is actually going to become valuable, right? Where we can actually have those things rather than it being connections and you can't find out which is the right policy number. Maybe it's those type of things. I don't believe in the doomsdayers. I just don't believe in it. I think if you look at a lot of Eastern cultures, those Eastern cultures actually believe that electronics and robots have a soul. They really do believe that. It's in their religion. And that's why whenever they see things like ChatGPT or they think of AI or they think of AGI over in the Eastern culture, they actually think it's a good thing. But us, raised in the Western culture, raised by Hollywood and the doom and gloom that we seem to be stuck in here in America, we think it's going to end the world, and I don't think it is. I think AGI is going to have to be contained.
I think the fact of just walking my dog down the street, right, and a robot's just walking right next to me, and I realistically have got no control of that person. That robot's probably going to kick my ass. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
That's what scares me is the fact of not being able to control maybe that AI or that robot in a sense.
And I think right now, just having this open discussion, Mitch, what about our dogs though? Right? At any time, my dog could just viciously attack me. Right. But we have this trust right now. And I'm not saying that's an answer. I'm just thinking out loud right now. I'm thinking like, ooh, that's a good point. I was watching this thing yesterday, and this guy was talking about people who have pet chimpanzees. And he said that what people don't realize about a pet chimpanzee is that it's an adult life. It's 6 times stronger than the strongest human. So think it's this little bitty thing, but if it wanted to, it would snap your neck, you know. And what the guy was saying is this is why people shouldn't have these wild animals, because it could do that one time.
Well, I mean, it's just like you go out to like Dubai and whatnot. These dudes have these tigers that are just out back and is hanging out, you know, like that.
Right. It's weird, isn't it?
There's the trust. You're right. You know, we'll evolve to eventually have best friends. I'm sitting here and they don't even have a heart, you know. That's what's
No,
scary.
I'm with you, but it is scary. It's absolutely scary. And so Vertifor, the big orange, good question out there. Good question out there. And I want to let everybody know as we get ready to leave, be sure that to go out there and mark your calendars one more time. Be sure to do it, that you have done it for Indy Tech 2024. It's going to be going on in Indianapolis, Indiana. And that's where we're going, because that is where we are going to be all about what? Independent insurance agents and the technology that powers us to profit. There's no spot in the industry where you can go and find just thoughts, just classes, just technology all in one area. We're going to deliver it to you in the actual customer experience. So you get to know what's what, get to have classes from experts who teach this stuff. It's an all around great time. If you weren't at the first one, you know you want to be at the second one. You know you do, because you've talked about all the good things. And we are looking for speakers. If you're looking on the screen right now, you can see that Mitch has put up there, want to be a speaker at Indy Tech 2024. We're open. We'll put you on the stage, baby. This is an industry event. This ain't about Cass. This ain't about Gibby. This ain't about agency intelligence. This is about independent insurance agents and the technology that powers us to profit. This is all about putting premium on the books. And for us to put premium on the books, we're going to have to scale. For us to have to scale, we're going to have to use technology. So it's your time to get out there and learn how to scale your agency. Visit us. And September 24th and 26th there in beautiful Indianapolis, Indiana. Mitch, you close it up and get us out of here, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you once again, everybody, for joining us today. Looking forward to our next month's 1-2 come. We have yet, but I've got an idea of someone that I want to go after, and I'm going to talk to Jason afterward. But other than that, just keep pivoting. Find a way to pivot. Find a way to make a difference. Find a way to create some disruption inside of what you guys are doing now and make a change for the longevity of you and your agencies. For Cass, Skib, always remember you can make a difference. We'll catch you next time on AI Podcast Live, presented